Welcome back to the show. We're going to talk about affordability. We're going to watch a video on homes and why everything is so freaking expensive today in this country. I have my thoughts on it, why everything is so expensive, but we're going to react to some videos today regarding, this current affordability crisis that we're in. Trump actually just gave he gave an address last night discussing why everything is so expensive. I want to talk about why it's so expensive, and I want to watch this video on Fox News. It came out about a month ago, so before Trump's recent address, but it has to do with J.D. Vance, and he gives his reasoning as to why affordability has gotten why home ownership has gotten so expensive. So let's get into it.
A lot of young people are saying housing is way too expensive. Why is that? Because we flooded the country with 30 million illegal immigrants who were taking houses that ought by right go to American citizens. And at the same time, we weren't building enough new houses to begin with, even for the population that we had. So what we're doing is trying to make it easier to build houses, trying to make it easier to build factories and things like that so that people have good jobs.
The White House has taken up the battle to make housing.
That's true. That is true. With illegal migrants coming into the country, that's a true statement by the president regarding illegal migrants taking up housing. It's true. With them buying homes, it creates scarcity among homes and home ownership, and not enough. He's saying not enough are being built, which I don't think is technically true. I don't think that's true. But also, I hope in this video, I haven't seen it yet, but I hope J.D. Vance discusses when it comes to China and a lot of these foreign countries that are buying up single family homes in our country. So
more affordable as warning signs continue to pop up from coast to coast. In October alone, there were nearly 37,000 new foreclosure filings, up 6% from last month and 20% from last year. This is the hot topic in econ. Jackie, I was struck by something you said this week in one of our conversations as we think about what are the solutions. The VP's talking about it there. You got to watch out for just demand side answers to the housing crisis, don't you? Because prices are so high. If all you're talking about is mortgages and how to get them more easily, aren't you just going to pump up prices even more?
I think so, but I do think they're working on deregulation and building more supply.
U.S. foreclosure starts to jump 20% from last year. That's not good. That's not good at all. Maybe that's why, because everyone's on to buy groceries. It's now buy now, pay later, type of payment system now when it comes to purchasing your groceries. That could be a contributing factor, I think. People are being led astray.
I do think there's still room for improvement on raw material costs to come down to make that easier, and some of that stuff is going to take time. But what's interesting to me is the notion that people are defaulting on their mortgages. When you think about when you go take out your mortgage, you get a fixed payment, you put your down payment down, hopefully you're in your affordability bracket and you didn't overbite. But with prices on everything else being more expensive, insurance, maintenance costs of the home, food costs, everything that goes into the household basket, there is a tipping point where then that payment might start to feel onerous because you're spending more on other things. And what you budgeted for, say, 5 years ago now isn't really where you should be because things have changed so much. And I think that's really something to think about. And it's a little bit scary to hear that people are defaulting. We're going to talk a little bit about this op-ed that was in the New York Post.
It's also because people, yes, it is true that people do overpay for their homes. They don't really do the math in terms of, they think that they can afford a $600,000 home where they really should be paying for a $400,000 home. When it comes to basic, like with inflation, how fast inflation rose the last decade, inflation's risen so fast that it just hasn't met with how people's salaries and how much people are getting paid on an average salary. The average salary, I think, in America is $65,000 a year. And the average home price now has jumped by like 3x, right? With COVID, they obviously came down significantly. But then, what happened, and I hope they get into this they get into this with this video, this topic. I mean, they're obviously talking about it now, but I hope they talk about China and they talk about State Street, Vanguard, BlackRock, these companies that are buying up all the affordable housing, basically creating a fake market. Like they're manipulating the market, where it signals to the market when more properties are being purchased, it signals that there's a scarcity of homes, which means that they need to build homes, but also home prices are going to go up because when you have less of something, it becomes more valuable. And I hope that they bring up that point here and they don't just blame it on the Americans and we're the problem for this situation.
Talking about some ways to fix the housing situation that we're in. And I like it because it's kind of got a 360 approach. You know, he discusses some of those ideas, but he also discusses this idea of a shorter mortgage, not a 50-year mortgage, a 20-year mortgage, where people pay down their debt faster, they build equity, they free up cash for later in life to do other things like send their kids to school or save more for retirement. I love this idea. What it helped me of a housing savings account where I had a specific account and I could chuck money into it and know that that is my...
You could say Fox women are hotter than CNN women, just saying.
You know, down payment.
Not by...
Or, you know, borrowing against
not like
the
a huge
401k.
margin. They're all
max
right.
is around 10,000 right now. Maybe you give people incentives to do that without a penalty and you raise it. There are a lot of things that we can do to make it easier for young people to get into homes. We've just got to implement them and then have everything come together where it works.
So let me throw...
What are those solutions, though? What are those solutions, man? Like, what is that? What we got to throw shit out there to see what works. It's not beer, by the way. That's sparkling water. Don't judge me.
Throw this at you, Steve, because I like a 20-year mortgage is great. It's still a demand side of things, right? And a 20-year mortgage is actually going to be more expensive than a 30-year monthly payment-wise, unless you get some kind of tax credit, which they talk about in this op-ed. But does that just keep juicing the side of the equation that's pushing prices up? Jackie mentioned the cost of building a home, which has gone way up. One of the obvious issues there might be tariffs on softwood lumber or aluminum. Is this do we need to do so if the Trump
like timber, like materials actually going up for a home. I think the average price now to build, like to get all the materials just for a home, like when it comes to lumber, all that shit, it's around like $600,000. Like it's jumped up quite significantly. And yes, you can say that the tariffs have had a huge effect on the cost of that. It just simply has been a cause and effect situation with that. So yes, you could say Trump's tariffs have had an effect on materials when it comes to tariffs.
Trump administration is serious about affordability. Does he have to back off some of those tariffs on the housing input costs?
Yes, having tariffs on lumber, having tariffs on furniture and stuff like that, it's a tax. And Warren Buffett put it very well. Tooth fairies don't pay the tax. Consumers end up paying the tax. And in terms of what to do about the supply of housing, take Texas zoning laws and make them nationwide, or states to make it possible. You know, in Texas and some other states, in a few weeks you can get approval of a housing project. California, it's a lifetime undertaking.
But here's the problem. How do you do that? Texas gets to choose its zoning. California gets to choose its zoning. Minnesota gets to choose its zoning.
You highlight it. You embarrass them. You you go to a town in Texas and say, how does Texas do it? Millions of new people coming in. Florida, millions of new people coming in. Still have cheaper housing than California. And then Newsom's state, go out to California and take some of these developers. Maybe you have to black out their faces so they can survive the regulatory backlash. But say, what does it take to approve a thing in California, and walk through all the junk you have to go through, all the licensing, all the months and months and months. Time is money. And keep highlighting like that. So you embarrass them. Maybe California won't change, but other states will take it up. Politicians desiring office will say, aha, here's what I'm going to do about housing.
Yeah, I don't have a ton of hope for California, Taylor.
That's true. He's right about that. I mean, he is true. Like with California, to get anything approved, any zoning law, like the zoning laws and so much red tape in California, it just totally slows down the production of society when it comes to building anything. It just takes so long. Rather than in Texas or in Florida, you know, other states like that, red states, you know, there's not as much red tape like California. California is ridiculous with the amount of red tape that you have to get through.
But
Me neither.
I want to. But what about maybe Jackie, you mentioned this week. What about cutting the capital gains tax
Yeah, big
on
fan of that.
housing sales? Because then people who've locked in, big gains, and maybe they say, I want to capture that gain. I want to sell the home. It's a revenue problem for the U.S. government. Lord knows we have that problem. But is that good policy or is that bad policy?
I like it, and we don't have a revenue problem. We have a spending problem.
Oh, yes.
So
would
I don't
normally
care
say that.
about the lack of the revenue because we have a spending issue. There's no amount of revenue that will ever meet the spending needs of this country, right?
True.
I love that you brought that up because I sort of remember what Marcus Lemonis was gently telling me last week as we were debating if a home or an investment in a 401k, for example, would be better for your down payment. And he's reminded me, and I had forgotten this, homes are the best sort of generational wealth transfer. That when my parents pass, at the end of the day, what's going to be nice is that they'll have something to show for it. They'll be able to give me a home that I otherwise maybe would not have been able.
See, yeah, but that's an issue though. Like this is where it's getting to now is that we have to, it's literally a hand down process where I have to wait. My parents who bought a home, I have to, and listen, don't get me wrong, I'm more than happy to inherit the home, but it's no longer a first generation purchase when it comes to buying a home now. It comes down to being a second or a third generation inheritance. It's an inheritance to be able to own your own home. You have to wait for your parents till they croak to take the home. And it'll be, a paid off mortgaged home, but like it won't, you can't afford a home. This is I don't know. It's not a good, I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
To get. Sure, we can talk about I could do that in the stock market and give my kids some stocks, but really he sort of simplified it. Is the best way to pass on and build and create generational wealth is.
Yeah, yes, I agree. I agree again with what she's saying. And, if you take your parents, you inherit your parents' home, right? And you want to go open or buy a property, right? An investment property, but you don't have the capital to do so. You can actually take an equity line with the valuation on your property that you inherited from your parents, and you could go use that to put a down payment on a property that a second property that you would want, without having to, without having to take out, whatever. There's different types of loans, but yeah.
Through home ownership. And so when I'd sort of been poo-pooing home ownership of all the extra added costs or my down payment would have done better in the stock market, that's sort of a great grounding narrative that he reminded me of, which is why I also love in this op-ed the idea of either cut capital gains tax or allow a higher limit on how I'm able to withdraw my 401k.
Yeah.
Instead of a 10,000 cap, 10,000
not,
really gets
Where you want people to withdraw from their 401k?
If you
For
want
home
it
ownership.
for a down payment on a home, and again, a week ago
Dude,
would
this is dude, you should not be pulling out your 401k for your home. That's your retirement. It's your fucking retirement money, dude. That is not a solution. It's not a solution. Like, you should not be telling people you need to be pulling out your 401ks. That is not a solution on how to fix this problem. What people need to be doing, and our government should help. Our government should help. This is why we elected these people in office in the first place. What they should be doing is that they should use, first of all, the current administration has the power of the House, the Senate, and they have the presidency. They should be passing bills right now to restrict these foreign countries from buying up single-family homes in the United States of America. And they should also be passing bills to block companies such as State Street, Vanguard, and BlackRock from purchasing up all the affordable housing. They are inflating the market. They are manipulating the market to show that people are buying homes where they are making homes more expensive and they're making them much more valuable because they're buying up a good majority of the properties. They're buying up faster than what people can build. And simply the people cannot afford with these corporations, you know? And listen, I'm a capitalist. I believe in capitalism. I think capitalism is the best system we have in the world. But, you know, you see the faults of capitalism and the certain problems it could lead to, where if a certain person or company is a monopoly and they have too much power, they have too much wealth, and they decide to get very greedy and very wealthy, and they decide to screw over the American people. And if one bad apple just decides, well, I'm just going to buy up all the housing in the United States of America, just make it all Americans renters and dependent on us. Yeah, you need to put a lock on that because that is a problem. And this administration should speak more about it.
I've said no, but Mark Simotas highlighted if that's a good way to build generational wealth, I'm okay with that. You can have a 401k and a home and have your cake and eat it too.
Megan, I threw that
No,
cut
you can't.
capital gains tax idea
can't.
right
You're
across
screwed.
your bow there because I just knew you'd be coming back and thinking about how little money we have to fund the spending we already do. So, you know, fire away.
Or the government doesn't give people enough incentives already to buy a home. It used to be an
What's
even
one more among
well,
friends?
it used to be an even bigger tax break on the mortgage interest deduction.
You know, these people on Fox News, they just look like failed actresses and actors that just decided to go into political speaking. Like they couldn't make it in politics, but they decided, you know, I'll just be a political commentator. I'll just be on TV. That's the vibe I'm getting. These are just failed actors and actresses.
Now it was President Trump first term kind of reduced it in size. So you get an interest deduction, and Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac just churn out those low-cost, cheap mortgages.
Touches on how about a portable mortgage to start to free up these people who have 3% mortgages
We
who
talked
don't
about
want
that
to live.
yesterday.
Portables. I don't know.
I don't love the
Steve, those
portable.
they don't. But they
I'm with
wouldn't
you,
be
Steve.
3%. They wouldn't be 3.5%. To make them portable, the rate on them would be a great deal higher. In order to make them portable, based on the very nature of what a portability would require. I just want to. Government's the problem when it comes to housing.
That's true.
And it's not the government's responsibility to make everybody a homeowner.
It's not the responsibility, but they definitely should do things to help the American people out. Yeah. You know, if there are foreign countries and corporations that are buying up all the affordable housing that are going to make all of the American people renters. And, you know, when everybody's a renter in 30 years or 40 years, yeah, they set the price for what people need to pay. And people will get priced out so much in the future when it comes to these renting prices. The American people are dependent on these companies. It's a bad scenario. It's very bad. It's not good.
That this American dream and home ownership was something that was cooked up by the government. And the more the government does to fix this, I guarantee you the worse it gets.
So the solution is flat.
Dude, that is the most fucking outrageous thing you could ever say. It's ridiculous, dude. That home ownership is a concoction by the United States government that it simply should not be an American value. What? What are you saying? Why do they let women talk on TV?
Tax, stable dollar, and with all the extra wealth, you can buy the bigger house.
And what's going to happen is when housing starts, foreclosures are going up. When housing starts to get weak and prices start
Look
to
at this
come
guy,
down.
dude, in the middle. Oh, fuck. Oh, damn it. Hold on. Dude,
These pizzas got me saying.
that guy's face in the middle. Hold on.
Fan
hold on.
favorites?
That guy's face. Hold on. He's like, let her yap. Hold on. That's hilarious. Hold on. I can't remember where I was at. That was so funny.
Again, I, a week ago, would have said no, but Mark Simotas highlighted if that's a good way.
No way. She was yapping. Now she's yapping. We saw that. Okay.
And prices start.
Yeah, look at his face, dude. Look at his face. That's hilarious. He's just like, Just keep yapping. It's pretty good.
To come down and people start to have problems like more foreclosures as one example, there will be political pressure for politicians, the Republicans, to do something. You got to do something. You got to fix it. No, you don't. You have to let the prices fall, because if you look back at the year 2000 and you adjust for inflation, a house is not some sort of magic asset that should go up much more than other investments. If you look at the median home price of a house roughly in the year 2000, and you adjust it with the CPI, just broadly consumer prices.
Dude, this guy's face is hysterical. You see this shit? This guy's face in the middle is just hilarious. Hold on, let's go back.
The median home price of a house roughly in the year 2000, and you adjust it with the CPI, just broadly consumer prices. That house should be worth, roughly say $230,000 right now. Instead, the median home price is deep into the 400,000s. That homes, just to adjust, bring them back down to earth, in line with inflation, need to fall at least 30% in this country. So,
but how, dude? But how? How are you gonna do that, Carol? Look, this is the issue. Like, dude, what is your solution? What do you want to pass? Like, you're not saying anything. You're just saying nonsense garbage. It's like, yeah, it's okay. Yeah, that's good. But like, how are we going to get there? Nothing burgers. Even the guy on the right is this old man on the right. You look at the old guy sitting all the way on the right. He's just like laughing and just like, he's like, why they let women speak on TV? Oh, that's great.
Everybody get ready. Then it'll be affordable.
Come on down to Earth Housing Market. Coming up.
Oh, it's so good. So good. CNBC. Do I want to know why? Ooh. I don't know. I don't really care for Mandami's socialist plan. It's not really going to work. I'm not interested in that. I don't think it'll work. Let's check out the AI. Well, I don't know. Interesting. I don't know if I want to watch the CNBC, why growing up is so pricey, or this, because I feel like CNBC is always propaganda bullshit. To be honest, not gonna lie, but fuck it, we'll watch it.
Bro, that bachelor party was a movie.
I'll get
Thanks for letting me crash again, man. Yeah, of course. Oh, so you can bring me to the airport tomorrow.
Also, if you want to subscribe, hit the subscribe button also if you haven't done so already. Please drop a comment down below if you'd like to. Let me know what your thoughts are, actually, by the way. Let me know what your thoughts are on all of this regarding housing prices, what the housing prices are like in your area. Just say this, say the state, of where you live, and what the housing and the affordability is like there. I'm out of Illinois in the Chicagoland area, and the housing here is still really bad in terms of prices. You think with the amount of people that are leaving and fleeing the state that the housing prices would simply come down dramatically, but no, man, they're still heavily inflated. They're pretty bad. Now, like downtown Chicago, the apartments down there have dropped significantly. You'll see like 1-bedroom apartments that are going in high rises for sale for like probably $300,000, $350,000 range, but a huge reason for that also as well. Like, yeah, the home prices, or excuse me, the high-rise apartments are going down in price, but also the HOA fees are still out. They're insane. They're outrageous, and the property taxes are high too. Like I think the average HOA for like a 1-bedroom, 1-bath place in the city is like, I want to say it's like $1,200 a month for an HOA fee. That's in perpetuity. That's for life. That's not like, oh, you pay this for, no, you pay that $1,200 a month every month for 12 months out of the year for life. It's a scam. And property taxes for life as well. That's another thing in Illinois. That sucks. It's really bad here.
Give it another 20 years and literally no young person will be able to afford to purchase a home, period.
No shit.
It's a lot harder for young people today to save up for markers of the American dream than it was for previous generations.
Millennials' net worth quadrupled from $3.9 trillion to nearly $16 trillion between 2019 and 2020.
Really? Holy shit, a lot of people died.
24, but more than half,
You know, they inherited it. You know, that's what I mean.
report living paycheck to paycheck.
It's not the overspending, it's the cost of living.
Just thinking about all of the headwinds that a 30-year-old may have, like student loan debt and car loans and credit card debt, and then they have rising rent.
You have a lot of people 25 to 34 who are looking to start a family and cannot find a home.
We're actually projecting that about 1 in 4 young adults today will never have kids.
Those are people who helped elect the president, who want stable jobs, who want rising wages, who want to be able to do things for their family that they don't feel they can do now.
We're living in two separate economies. The American dream that was pitched to the Gen Xers and the Boomers is no longer present in today's world.
Starter homes are disappearing from the United States. In the early 1980s, as many as 40% of the new homes built were considered entry-level. By 2023, just 9% fit the criteria.
Give it another 20 years and literally no young person will be able to afford to purchase a home, period.
20 years, dude. 20 years. Oh, that's scary.
Meanwhile, a slowdown is mounting in the home building industry, which could contribute to the ongoing decline of the starter home.
Both housing starts and building permits, which are an indicator of future construction, have slowed down this fall, and it's not just seasonal.
There are over 3 million potential first-time home buyers in the country. They're up against high home prices that keep rising.
What you're starting to see are mini price bubblets in markets that are an hour, 2 to 3 hours from major metropolitan cities.
It is such an unusual market because we have an all-time low of first-time home buyers, but an all-time high of all cash buyers.
So where did all the starter homes go? A starter home is typically modest in size and price.
It's the most affordable home in any market. If you're in the Midwest, maybe it's in the $100,000 range. If you're in California, a starter home might be in the $400,000 range.
To me,
where's a home for $100,000? What? Where? Maybe South Dakota.
Starter home used to be a smaller condo, a smaller space, and someone would upgrade maybe after 5 years as they get married or have a family and want to move. But now we're actually seeing that most people are buying their first home as a single family residence and really planning on staying in place.
America's home builders are making fewer of these kinds of units.
If you look at the number of single-family starter homes, those defined as being 1,400 square feet or smaller, we used to supply anywhere between 400 and 500,000 units a year.
Over the past decade, builders have put up less than 100,000 homes each year.
Really, by far.
It's really, yeah, because it's just so expensive to be able to build these homes. It's not even profitable. It's not even worth the time. Like as much energy and effort and cost, you know, and what goes into building a home, it's really not as profitable as you might think. And that's also why, you know, you're not building as many homes because it costs way too much.
The number one reason is the increasing difficulty that many builders have in dealing with zoning regulations.
True. That too.
Zoning laws are set at the local level.
So many laws.
These laws can determine the size of each lot in a neighborhood. They can also specify how far a structure is set back from the property line, how tall it is, or how many units are on site. In many cases, these laws create an opportunity for local residents to challenge new development. The residents often raise concerns, like overcrowding of schools and wear and tear on local roads.
A lot of this has to do with density restrictions within local communities. They may not want a townhouse or a condo community coming in.
This is what they're building,
but
though.
they absolutely will welcome a single family community.
Zoning codes are found all around the country. The most restrictive.
I don't like that. I don't like how everybody has the same home in the neighborhood. What do you guys think of that? Do you think that That's a little strange how everybody has the same looking home in the neighborhood. I find that to be very strange. I find that to be very weird.
Ones are often found in major cities.
Many builders are not leaving.
Wow. Wait. DC has some of the most restrictive zoning codes. New York, Massachusetts, Washington, Florida, number 5. Who'd have thought? Milwaukee, Waukesha in Wisconsin, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Pompano. I mean, the reason why the zoning codes are so restrictive in Florida is because there are floods that are severe. Those are very bad. Like Hurricane Helene, that was like a year ago, was so bad. And now you have to build you literally have to build, when you're building a new home in Florida, it has to be like 10 or 12 feet above the ground. You have to build it basically on stilts. It's crazy.
Money on the table. They are just simply unable to build, or it's become so expensive to build that they can only build high-end single-family and high-end multifamily.
Given the high price of land, labor, materials, it's very difficult for big home builders to build the entry-level homes. There are a couple who specialize, like D.R. Horton, which has an Express Homes division, which specializes in starter homes. But for medium-sized builders, it's just very expensive in order to pencil all the costs they have and make it affordable to that lower-end buyer.
As a result, home builders and first-time buyers are targeting further flung locations.
We've definitely seen a trend toward purchasing a home further from the urban core. So you do see a lot of new construction in suburbia and exurbia.
Home values are now rising most rapidly in low-density.
She was Eastern European.
In rural areas. Experts say that relaxing these codes could lead to higher levels of home building and preserve affordability.
You know, for example, in San Antonio, there's some builders that are building sub 1,000 square feet single-family detached homes, right? Which would have been almost unthinkable just a few years ago. So the market is reacting, but its response mechanism is really limited because of the rules of the game.
Some areas with less restrictive zoning codes are welcoming many newcomers. For an example, see Metro Atlanta.
Home is in Atlanta now. I'm currently in Decatur, Georgia, which is right outside of the perimeter, so I have easy access to the city. It gives a little bit more of suburban-ish kind of feel. It's just the culture, the energy, the aesthetic, the environment.
She said this was in Atlanta? Yikes.
It's a more
I've been to Atlanta. It's
elevated experience in day-to-day living, honestly.
Lillian Mantaya is a filmmaker and entrepreneur. She was in line to buy a home in the Baltimore area in 2024, but that plan fell through. Since then, she's moved to Atlanta to live with her sister and come up with a new plan.
Atlanta's so
I did grow up in Baltimore. I gave Baltimore a shot in my adulthood with my children, and I did the 9 to 5 and, you know, attempted to buy a house there and everything. But Baltimore wasn't providing just the lifestyle, resources, community that is needed for me to thrive. And Atlanta has been able to kind of just support me more.
Experts say that more dense forms of housing could have helped first-time buyers, particularly in crowded areas.
We do know that local communities are trying to address the lack of housing inventory in pretty unique ways. So accessory dwelling units is certainly a popular approach right now. That's one solution, but I think we need to be looking at adaptive reuse as well. So looking at vacant hotel motels, looking at vacant residential malls, and how do we bring residential housing units into those areas?
Much of the new construction since 2020 is in luxury apartments, with units that are not for sale.
The recent boom in multifamily.
Yeah, see, it's a problem when you're looking at old malls to turn those into affordable housing for people, you know? It's not good.
Construction has been on the higher luxury end, but it's easier for multifamily developers to get in and pencil that many apartments because they're renting them, and rents have been very high.
Finances are a big barrier for first-time buyers. The premium paid to buy a home has increased sharply relative to renting over the past decade. The increases in home prices have also outpaced increases in wages.
See, this is where they want you, though, at right now. See, all these corporations that are buying up all the affordable housing, they're not going to set the renting price more than, you know, they're not going to have the renting prices beat out the mortgage prices, obviously. They want you to try to purchase a home. And they also want to keep it cheap enough to where you're kind of like, well, it's cheaper to just rent right now. And I can just rent from someone. That's why all these financial gurus right now on TikTok, all these real estate folks will always tell you, oh, I would never own a home. They're always like, I would never own a home. I would always just rent. That's what they say. They're like, just rent a home for life. It's so good for you. It's so good for the soul. It's so full of shit. They want you to be one of their renters so you continue to pay them money. Scam.
As a result, home sales are down across many markets, and the median age of the typical first-time home buyer has climbed to 38. That's up from age 29 in 1981.
Just thinking about all of the headwinds that a 30-year-old may have, like student loan debt and car loans and credit card debt, and then they have rising rent. And so keeping that all in mind, it's hard to save for a down payment when housing affordability is really out of reach.
The problem is you have the most demand on the low end of the market because affordability is so rough right now, but you also have the least supply on the low end of the market.
The average price of homes has increased rapidly too. Nationwide, home prices have climbed over 50%.
And that's what happened, dude, in COVID. It's so messed up. Like, what happened in COVID is that housing properties were so cheap, and COVID screwed everything up so bad to where, yeah, it was great for people who were first-time home buyers to buy in COVID in 2020. I mean, obviously, if you had the cash and you could put the down payment on the property and get a kick-ass interest rate, you were stupid not to. But not only were first-time home buyers taking advantage of that situation, but also these big-time corporate companies were too. And they built their portfolios big time during COVID. So not good, dude. Not good at all. And they're not slowing down.
52% between January 2020 and October 2024.
They got a deal.
Adding to the burden, mortgage rates have returned to their standard historical range, near 7%. Homeowners with a mortgage are paying 29% more than they would if they rented the same house. Dynamics like that are shutting out all but the highest income Americans out of the market, at least on average.
We're seeing first-time home buyers come into the market using inheritance, using 401k or stocks, cashing those out, combining all of these resources, and actually making an all-cash purchase.
All
Investors
cash?
are buying homes too, but economists saw their shares jump to an all-time high in 2024.
Whoa, that's actually nuts. All cash? That's where people are at. They're like, I don't even want the mortgage. I don't even want the pay. I just want to pay all cash on my home. That's actually the way to go, low key. It's like that movie, you know, The Gambler. I think it's called The Gambler with Mark Wahlberg. And there's that scene where he's, I can't remember. John Goodman is like, you know, own your house. You got to be from a position of fuck you, right? Own your house. Get a 30-year roof. Get a shitbox car that'll last you, though, 30 years. And that's life. You don't want to do anything. You tell your boss to go fuck off. You can. You want to you come from the ultimate position of fuck you. So owning your house, owning your car, no payment on that. It's a good position to be in.
Still, they make up a tiny fraction of the overall housing stock.
The issue of large-scale investors is really not an issue. If you look at their share of the market, it's only 1% to 2%. However, if you look within fast-growing markets, particularly those that are affordable, and in the South, those entities are making it a little bit more difficult for buyers to purchase. Having said all that, if there was a normal amount of supply and we didn't have the shortage, this would not be really an issue.
Guys, it's a mix of a lot of things. It's how expensive it is to build. Sure, they're not incentivized as much to build. It's very expensive, true. But it's also, there's a low supply because as fast as you build the fucking things, they're just going to be bought out by big corporations in other countries. They're being bought out. You have to put a cap on it. You have to cap it off.
With elevated prices on the market, today's buyers may need to rely on outside help to finance a home.
I think it's increasingly difficult to buy that first home if you don't have help. You know, in a more affordable market, it's $400,000. That means you have to come up with $80,000 in down payment if you assume the typical conventional loan. That's really difficult to come up with that down payment. So we do see in the data increasingly more consumers getting help, whether that's from their parents or from down payment assistance programs.
There are over 2,400 down payment assistance programs nationwide. Depending on your income and where you live, the aid can be substantial.
I haven't purchased a home yet, and I've been in the process of purchasing a home. But being in this process, I definitely have more of a optimistic, I guess, perspective with home buying now. And I just talked to a realtor here, and she even told me that you are able to purchase a home even with a credit score of 500 and something.
500, dude. Dude, if you could purchase a home with that'll lead to another crash. If you could purchase a home with a 500 credit score, it will lead to a crash again. We would be fucked. Oh, that would be so bad. That would be so bad.
So I think it's just a matter of taking the initiative and
in
knowing.
Atlanta, dude, you can have a 500 credit score and you could purchase a home. Dude, that's bad. That's bad.
That you can be a homeowner.
Regulation at all levels of government affect how homes are built. Experts say they're holding back new construction.
This crisis is worsened by various factors, including rising construction costs, regulatory burdens, and limited availability of buildable land.
There's definitely excessive regulation, a lot of inefficient local zoning.
The zoning codes really originated nearly a century ago, and it made sense at the time. However, since then, there's been an increasing thicket of layers that have made it increasingly difficult for builders. This is sort of the concern, unfortunately, with policy, is sometimes you have to think about in advance things that can go wrong. So think about zoning. It made sense in the 1900s. It began in New York City. It made sense if you needed meatpacking plants to be a little bit away from residential areas. But you take that to an extreme and out of New York City and into middle America, and then it causes problems.
Regulation at this point can make up 25% of the builder's cost to build that home, and there is a lot of talk of deregulation, especially under the new Trump administration.
Until more housing is built, prices are expected to keep marching upward quickly.
The willingness and desire for homeownership amongst renters, particularly younger renters under the age of 35, is very high. However, the problem is the obstacles are also just as high.
Yeah, I mean the Biden administration screwed up a lot of different things. They made a lot of mistakes. They're a huge contributing factor as to why we're currently in the situation we're in. But also, I'm kind of right now with this Trump administration. I was happy the first 3 to 4 months they were getting a lot done, a lot of executive orders, but they've slowed down since then, and they haven't been moving as fast as they can. They haven't really passed anything, and they haven't done anything to fix this issue regarding the home affordability crisis. So they gotta get on that. They gotta start making adjustments quickly.
Don't just mask bad breath. Neutralize it. Get that Crest Clean Breath.
Nope. But yeah, they gotta start making adjustments. They gotta start making some big changes when it comes to the country regarding this. They have to start getting legislation passed. They're not passing any legislation to fix this issue. And if they don't anytime soon, you're going to continue to see it escalate, and it's going to continue to be a big problem. So,
household budget for an American family in 1985. If we compare,
dude, 1985, your income was $2,000 a month. Okay, your rent and energy was $364, food was $290. Really, $290 back then? Childcare was $161, transportation $382, healthcare was $92. That's fucking nice. Apparel was $118. Nobody's buying that. $98. This is in 19. Really? Entertainment was $98 in 1985? I don't believe that.
Compare that to a hypothetical budget in 2022, we can see that most expenses scaled with inflation.
Whoa, look. Whoa.
With a few exceptions.
Whoa, dude. Look at this. Okay. So in 1985, when you compare it both today, the income, we make more technically. But dude, that rent and energy price, absurd. Food's about the same. Dude, childcare has doubled. Childcare has doubled since then. Healthcare has doubled. Yeah, it has doubled. Apparel's gone down, though. Interesting. Entertainment is a little bit slightly up. Dude, pensions and insurance. Holy shit. That's nearly doubled as well, too, dude. That's a problem.
Rent, out-of-pocket healthcare costs, and childcare are notably more expensive in 2022, even when accounting for inflation. And costs associated with retirement increased by more than 60%. But these numbers are not accounting for a big X factor, consumer debt, such as credit cards and student loans.
So bad. Dude, the debt is so bad. I know a buddy that he got done with college. He was my roommate. $200,000 worth of debt. $200,000 worth of debt with interest on his debt. That's still rising. And he also has credit cards as well. It's not a big recipe for success. And he's got rent, too.
Total outstanding consumer credit was nearly $600 billion in December 1985. By 2022, it was nearly $4.9 trillion.
Debt has been rising over time. You know, student loans weren't really a thing for baby boomers.
Millennials have larger student loan balances, bigger mortgages, much bigger car payments than their parents did a generation ago. In addition to more expensive childcare costs, higher prices pretty much across the board. So that does make it more difficult to set extra money aside or make any long-term plans.
We're living in two separate economies. The American dream that was pitched to the Gen Xers and the Boomers is no longer present in today's world.
A lot of people, particularly the working class and the part of the middle class, don't think their children will be as well off as they were. That's a problem.
Many people live in what I describe as at break even. Over the course of the year, they might make enough money to pay for basic living expenses and cover their bills. But if one major thing happens, then they can get behind.
Here's why young American adults are struggling to make ends meet and what can be done. Millennials' net worth quadrupled from $3.9 trillion to nearly $16 trillion between 2019 and 2024, but more than half report living paycheck to paycheck.
A lot in this group have benefited from a strong jobs market and rising wages. And
yeah, we're fucked though now. Our job market is cooked, bro. We're cooked for sure. I mean, AI it's dude, the amount of people I know that are looking for jobs right now, it's cooked. It's tough. And that AI bill for 10 years of AI, totally unrestricted, did not help the case for the young people, that's for sure.
During the pandemic,
Totally
many
fucked
people
us.
bought a home. That made a lot of people wealthier, but more on paper. The disconnect between being rich on paper and feeling well off has been referred to as phantom wealth. Your net worth has gotten greater, but you're not feeling richer necessarily.
It's taking young adults longer than their parents to meet some milestones, such as living on their own, buying property, and starting a family.
It's a lot harder for young people today to save up for...
This is why you have 30-year-olds that are just grown babies. Seriously, you have grown baby adults that are in their 30s that still watch Pokemon in the afternoon and work at home remotely. This is our society. This is what we live in.
Markers of the American dream than it was for previous generations. When we look at home buying, As we all know, we're in historically tight housing markets. There are very few homes on the market, and those that are on the market are extremely expensive, not to mention expensive mortgage rates. And the prices of homes has escalated over the last few decades much faster than actual incomes. So it is actually much harder for a millennial or a Gen Z to save up for a down payment to buy a home.
It's not the overspending, it's the cost of living.
I think the middle class, unfortunately, is dead for millennials and Gen Zers, or best case scenario, the goalpost has just moved and it's still obtainable, but you have to make over 6 figures to have that middle class life. But people who...
Yeah, dude, that's not good. You need the middle class, bro. If you don't have a middle class and you just have the poor and the wealthy, that's how revolutions begin. Seriously, if people are squeezed so much, like, I'm a big believer in either things are either getting better or they're getting worse. And if things are getting better, they're getting worse in terms of the wealth gap between the rich are so fucking rich and the poor are extremely poor to the point where everyone has to depend on the government to be able to purchase their homes and own a home and owning your private property. It's not good.
Who are older were in a better economic time growing up, because the big difference is what I call the big three. Millennials and Gen Zers are faced with outrageous housing prices, whether it's rent or owning, massive monthly college student loan debt payments, and daycare.
Freddie Smith made a career shift from actor to realtor and started making content about the state of the housing market.
In the summer of 2023, I was maybe one of the first or the handful that was able to say, hey, the housing prices hit 420, the interest rates hit 7%. You now need $120,000 to qualify for a home. And it went viral. And then it just bled into people asking comments and me making more videos. Then it got into the boomer versus millennial debate, and it just kind of continued to grow from there, and it took its own shape. I had to rebuild my life in my early 30s, so I'm really relating to the 22-year-olds who are building their life, and it's a totally different economy than when I built mine when I was 19.
Not being able to save for a home has big retirement implications for millennials and Gen Z.
Those who don't own homes, now those are people who are in real trouble. They're trying to save to get their own place. They're paying high rent somewhere. They're commuting a long distance or trying to work at home so they can save on childcare or so they can save just on housing costs. Those living patterns are increasingly what's happening for younger workers.
In the 1980s, the typical first-time homebuyer was in their late 20s. With a 30-year mortgage, that would mean they owned their home outright by the time they retired in their 60s, providing them with a better chance at sticking to a fixed income in their retirement. A national housing shortage, high rent prices, and competition from wealthier buyers are all making it harder for young adults to buy their first home. In 2024, the median first-time homebuyer was 38 years old, an all-time high.
You have a lot of people 25 to 34 who are looking to start a family and cannot find a home for their families. Maybe the homes aren't where they want them to be inside the city, but even outside a city, it's been very difficult.
Yeah, dude, you can't even get anything in the city if you're a young person. You're fucked. Like, if you want to go to the city or get anything in the suburbs, 3-bed, 2-bath, it's going to cost us $600,000 easily. In the suburbs of Chicago. You're financially, you're fucked. You can't afford it. Like, you're screwed. You have no shot. If you're a late 20, if you're in your late 20s or early 30s, you're screwed. To be able to purchase a home in any of these suburban, in the suburbs of these cities.
For young families to find a place.
So I think it's healthy for us to try to find different ways that maybe home ownership doesn't have to be the symbol of the American dream. But then to counter that, on my own point, I encourage those who can afford homes to buy it, because once it's paid off, you're going to have a more comfortable retirement because you're not going to be subject to the ever-increasing rent prices.
Many Americans are navigating a new kind of economic instability, which traditional financial advice may not prepare them for. Rachel Schneider co-authored the book, The Financial Diary.
Sorry, I have to go back and look at that. Did that say $1.5 million for a 3-bed, 3-bath?
Many
2,400 square feet? I hope that God that's not real. That would be brutal if that's real. What?
Many Americans are navigating a new kind of economic instability, which traditional financial advice may not prepare them for. Rachel Schneider co-authored the book The Financial Diaries with NYU professor Jonathan Mordock. They spent a year tracking the granular spending habits of 235 families.
What we saw was a huge amount of volatility. That was our core finding. The majority of Americans work hourly jobs. And so for them, the amount of money that they earn fluctuates week by week. I get 30 hours this week versus 45 hours next week. And so as a result, income is really up and down over the course of a month. And that flies in the face of all of the budgeting advice we usually give people.
There's a difference between surviving and thriving. And I just think if we're going to claim that we're the richest country, the best country in the world, why isn't everyone who's working 40 hours, 50 hours a week thriving? How is that possible?
On top of income instability, cost of living is increasingly unstable.
Because we've gone more socialist than we've gone capitalist. I'm sorry. And it is a mix of the problems of capitalism as well. It's a mix of both. Like, we're seeing the worst parts of capitalism in terms of everybody, of all these companies in these foreign countries buying up all the affordable housing. It's not only that, but also when it comes to socialism, you know, our taxes have gone up more than ever. You know, if you live in a blue state like I do, taxes are continuously always going up. So it's so weird. We're getting the worst parts of capitalism in terms of the people are getting fucked over by large corporations buying us out and basically inflating the property prices of homes. Simultaneously, our taxes go up as well, which leaves us screwed. It doesn't matter if you're making $100,000 a year, you're screwed.
Tariffs have added a lot of uncertainty into future economic conditions.
But the tariff revenue is going to be so high, it doesn't even matter. You're like, that's short-term pain for long-term success. That's the point of the tariffs. That's what they're there for. It's going to slightly marginally make things much more, not much more, but they're going to slightly marginally make things expensive. But in the long run, we'll be generating hundreds of billions of dollars in time.
We don't really know how this is going to play out just yet. And if people start to feel nervous about what lies ahead, then they may dial back on things like consumer spending.
The tariffs are creating uncertainty for those people. They don't know what to do. Businesses aren't hiring more people. They're just waiting to see they have a stable business environment they can go. Without stability, they can't. At the same time, the tariffs are going to create a big sales tax on lower income people who spend more on the basics, which are going to go up.
Dude, why don't they ever talk about these? This is CNBC. Talk about what really is going on. Like, really discuss, dude. Like, come on.
And so that's going to create problems for them, too.
What the historians tell us that every single new generation gets complaints from the older generation about how they're behaving irresponsibly, immorally, blaming millennials for spending too much on avocado toast.
It's not student loans or a tough job market keeping millennials from buying homes. It's reportedly avocado toast.
The one piece of advice for young people out there who are spending their money on avocado toast and don't have any goals, what would you say to them?
I would say to them, you know, get as much pleasure out of saving as you do spending.
Avocado toast is good, though. It's good as shit. You know, the problem is, though, it's a mix of both, right? I think people are spenders. They're so dumb with what they buy. Put their money towards. You know, especially people putting their money towards streamers. Like, I'm not making a dime off this, obviously, today. I'm not making any money. You know, but yeah, like, that's a big thing. Like, people just spend their money on the stupidest shit. It's actually insane.
This kind of advice is usually framed as a warning against lifestyle creep, which is the idea that as people earn more, they subtly start to spend more, and that's what prevents them from properly saving.
I think that's true too. People make $300 and they spend $500. They spend $600. It's just human nature.
That's why there's so much confusion, because you can point to a millennial who spends $1,200 on DoorDash. Not good. But you can also point to a millennial who's very financially conscious, making $80,000, and is drowning in debt and is living with a roommate and is a lawyer at 29 years old. That is not right. If someone got straight A's in school, straight A's in college, got a bachelor's, got a master's degree, and is 29 making $80,000 and can't even get their own apartment, let alone purchase a house or have financial stability. So that's where I think there's something broken in the system.
Even though households have become significantly wealthier, many consumer goods are also a lot more expensive. And at the same time, Americans are now largely on their own when it comes to things like insurance, retirement savings, healthcare. That makes it harder just across the board to feel financially secure. In some ways, Americans are even more financially vulnerable now. Even as prices have come up significantly, consumer spending hasn't really changed that much. And that leaves more Americans relying on things like credit cards to kind of make ends meet at the end of the month. With economists now forecasting a possible recession in the months or year ahead, there's a greater chance that many Americans won't be prepared for an economic shock.
There aren't so many people in the middle class. There's a big working class. Those are people who helped elect the president, who want stable jobs, who want rising wages, who want to be able to do things for their family and improve life for their kids that they don't feel they can do now. But those people haven't seen much respite.
The core kernel of wisdom in the avocado toast issue is make choices about what really matters to you.
All right, I'm moving on from this. Yeah, avocado toast, you lost me at that. I'm kind of out. If you're blaming us on the avocado toast situation, but yeah, man. I don't know. We're in a weird. We're in a weird spot, guys. This is not good. I mean, let's look at this. Let's look at the fucking. Let's look at. I want to look at this. Montana. Let's go look at Montana properties, because Montana properties are absurd right now. Montana. Really? I'm so dumb. Montana. What? Okay. That's properties. Like, look at this, dude. Look at this. Look at this ranch. This is a year ago in Montana. That's beautiful. Let's actually look at this. Oh, fuck. Are you kidding me? Oh my God. Apologies. Let's look at the price, though. Oh, that's a good sign when they don't tell you the price. Yeah, that's good. All right, whatever. Let's watch it. I'll make my estimation. That's actually beautiful, man. That's so nice. Jeez, look at that. Wow. $22 million later. For sure, $20 million, dude. Oh, yeah. That's expensive. That's big time money. You know what's bad? This is where all the billionaires are starting to move for their summer homes in Montana. That's enough of that. The music is getting me depressed. Oh, look at this guy.
Tucked away at the end of a quiet country road, where the sky opens wide and
is this Brokeback Mountain?
Nature whispers in every breeze, lies a place unlike any other. Welcome to Silver Brand Ranch, a legacy property set against the breathtaking backdrop of
Sorry, that said 122
lies
acres.
A place unlike any other. Welcome to Silver Brand Ranch, a legacy property set against the breathtaking backdrop of Mount Ellis and the sweeping Gallatin Range. Here, on 122 deeded acres, privacy is abundant. Lush wild meadows, towering forests, and crystal clear spring waters surround you. And with public lands bordering 3 sides, your nearest neighbors are the elk, foxes, and the people you invite to share it with you.
It is beautiful.
For horse lovers, this is paradise. Ride directly from your pastures into millions of acres of contiguous public land on trails that wind through mature pines, aspen groves, and willows. The expansive equestrian facilities include both a large indoor riding arena and an outdoor riding space. Horse paddocks with shade sheds, a large hay barn, workshop, and with plentiful annual hay production, this ranch is fully move-in ready for you and your horses. 4 spring-fed ponds, one right near the main lodge,
That's beautiful.
shimmer with mountain fresh waters and attract abundant wildlife year-round. Whether you're watching the morning mist rise from the surface, dipping in your toes, or simply enjoying...
I have a black lab. My black lab would love to be at this spot. 100%. He would love... He would literally jump in that pond and swim in that pond right now if he had the chance and run around in the open grass. That's pretty sweet.
Enjoying the peaceful reflections, these ponds bring a sense of stillness and wonder to each day.
That's so cool.
At the heart of the ranch sits a recently updated 7,632 square foot home designed for warmth, comfort, and mountain charm. The 2-story home features an amazing great room, warm, inviting, and designed for gathering. Whether you're entertaining guests or enjoying a quiet evening by the fire, there's room here for connection and comfort. Upstairs, the primary suite offers a spacious retreat with peaceful views and plenty of room to unwind.
That's a weird spot for a TV.
5 additional bedrooms are thoughtfully spaced throughout the
Those are
lodge,
sweet.
and a large, cozy living room can be found on the lower level. There's space for everyone, family, friends, and the stories you'll share together. An additional cozy 1,590 square foot guest cottage welcomes friends and family for peaceful stays on the ranch. Silver Brand Ranch is located just 10 minutes from downtown Bozeman, but a world away from the rush of everyday life. 20 minutes away, the Bozeman-Yellowstone International Airport connects this marvelous ranch with the entire world. In under 30 minutes, you can be at Bridger Bowl Ski Area, carving down the locals' favorite slopes,
so fun.
or head just over 1 hour to the world-renowned Big Sky Resort. Only 75 minutes away lies Yellowstone National Park, where you can visit countless times and always discover something new. Whether you're looking for a place to reconnect with nature, host cherished gatherings, or simply find peace in the rhythm of the land, Silver Brand Ranch.
Dude, I would do it in a heartbeat. Swear to God. That'd be so cool to go to Yellowstone. I would love to go. That would be so sweet. Oh, it'd be the best vacation in the world.
Which offers something rare, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to live life on your own terms, surrounded by beauty, comfort, and quiet adventure. Fay Ranches. Invest and enjoy. Please check out our website at fayranches.com for complete information.
All right. I'm gonna call it. Well, maybe I'll check out one more. I'll watch one more, and then I'm gonna call it an end to the stream. Dude, the music is so country vibe. 41 acres. Now, I hope they say the price on this guy. What's the price? They don't say the price. It's probably, again, it's a $15 million property. Guaranteed. 13 million, 15 million. Yeah, you're right near Bozeman. Yeah. 41 acres of land, dude. It's so crazy. It is sick, though. That's so nice. That's very cool, man. That's pretty stuff. All right. Well, I'm going to call it for a stream. Thank everybody for watching. If you haven't already done so, please hit the subscribe button, smash that like button, share this, drop a comment down below. And yeah, let me know what you guys' thoughts on the housing crisis. Let me know what your thoughts are on why homes are so expensive, how expensive they are in your area. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. All right. See everybody.